Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Global Games. We now move back to Group A. We've got China versus Singapore. My name's Dan Gaskin, and I've got Lorinda with me here. Group A is looking like it's about to shape up. See who's going to be moving through definitely now.
It's going to actually finish Group A, so we're going to find our first definite top 16 team.
The definites, as you can see, Group A there on your screen. China 2-0 at the moment, so they have a chance to 100% be going through if they win their game, but there's also a chance for both Malaysia and Singapore to go through as well. It's all going to come down to that score difference. By my calculations, Singapore winning at least 3-1, if not just winning in general, then they go through. If China win 3-2, I believe China and Malaysia go through. So a lot to play for. Let's have a look at the rosters. Who is going to be competing against each other now?
Okay, China, Jason Zhou going to be competing this weekend in Shanghai. Nightwalk, Omega Zero, who's done lots of stuff, and Nightwalk again, because somebody can't make it and therefore is being replaced briefly. Yeah,
of course you have to have someone to replace anyone who is subbed out for their day. On the other side, we've got Sequinox, Crumpled, Aaron, and Envy. We saw some crazy decks from the Singapore side last week. Are we going to see more of the same as we look at the beautiful sights of China? And you know what time that means. It's time for some of my fun facts, Neil. Did you know some Chinese police officers use geese instead of police dogs?
And why might that be?
Because geese are very aggressive and they're actually well trained and they can be pretty harmful against a robber.
The facts have just gobsmacked me on this occasion as we quickly look at Singapore. Have you got anything about the other place, Singapore?
Of course I do. Oh. I got plenty. It's illegal to have chewing gum in Singapore. To sell it, manufacture it, deal it.
Deal it?
But if you do get hold of some, and you happen to be chewing it, and you spit it out, you get fined.
What if you don't spit it out?
Then you might get away with it.
So just swallow it down, you'll be fine.
Just do what I did at school and just like put it at the top of my roof of my mouth and then...
Don't get caught.
Don't get caught. As we look at all of the classes, and we're going to jump into the first game. It's Omega Zero versus Aaron, Mage versus Mage. Oh, baby, the Mage off. One of my favourite matchups, actually, in the Mage off, because of just the position Mage is in at the moment. It's just so messy.
Yeah, it's just all over the place, isn't it? I remember Fireback just saying he takes notes on all the cards his opponents could have in their hand. Except when it's Mage, when he just throws the notebook at the wall and gives up and just plays the game.
Yeah, you run out of pages on your notebook if you try anything that's possible because of all the Discover mechanics and stuff.
Which means you have to be alert to what's going on and respond accordingly.
You do, and I was just looking at everything that was brought in terms of the HCT from Mage. There was only one Freeze Mage that was brought. On the other side, it was a lot of Burn, but we are seeing people combine Secret and Burn together. As you can see, Omega Zero and Aaron on your screens there getting ready. I think that's a Hearthstone cup from Aaron as well.
That's a really good spot for that little bit of blue.
Just guessing that's the Hearthstone symbol.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that spot there.
Is that a spoon in there?
That is at least as well as it's a fork. Maybe it's
he's got like a
noodles or something.
Cup of soup. Quick noodles. Noodles in a mug. Mug noodles.
Tell what casters live on, can't you?
Oh, I love mug noodles.
Do you? What flavour?
No, not really.
Is there a particular flavour that you go for?
Beef is a good flavour. My favourite. Maybe geese flavour, because apparently geese is popular as well. As we are going to jump into the first game of the day. I say of the day. Of the series, in fact. This is a long day. It's definitely not the first game of the day.
I'm so confused by the geese comments, but looks, for all the world, like Aaron's playing Freeze Mage, but he might not be, because Antonidas turns up in other decks now as well.
Yeah, and you can say that about Omega Zero as well, to be honest.
I mean, they're just playing Mage, right? There's Acolyte of Pain, which is a good indicator that Aaron's playing something freezy-ish.
Yeah, but then you get these people that like to throw cards back in a deck just to try and make it a little bit hipster. That's how I feel that Mage is at the moment. We're going into like a coffee shop and ordering like a Frappuccino latte, Mongol latte, moo blah.
Wow.
And that's where Mage is.
Let's steal your line, did you know?
Yeah.
Aaron's favourite place is the aquarium.
Right.
He likes it there because it's peaceful and it's quiet. There's not much peace and quiet in Singapore.
Ah.
And apparently there's no Murlocs there. That's actually something he says on his form.
Yep.
There were no Murlocs in the aquarium, and that's why he likes it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Murlocs are very scary. Make a very scary noise as well.
Do they? How does it go?
I'm not going to do it. I almost did it as well.
Damn! No. We'll get him later, guys, as we just wait for these openers. Aaron, another indicator that he's playing Freeze is that he kept the Acolyte of Pain in the opener, which means that he wants that card draw. If he wasn't playing necessarily a freeze mage, he would go looking for mana worms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So an indication there of what's going on. And because he didn't play it, China were like, well, what didn't he play on turn 1 that he kept in his opening hand? Might be an Acolyte of Pain.
Incredible discovery.
He didn't even play on turn 2, so it's not Arcanologist. Sorry, just keep talking over you.
No, absolutely fine. I kind of interrupted you there, good sir.
Okay, well, you proceed.
Thank you
young
very
man.
much. Well, the interesting thing is we're getting two kind of hybrids evolve at the moment. We've got the Freeze Mage, which is then getting elements of the Discover Mage. It's taking some of the Medivh from it. We did see Mana Worm sometimes put into Freeze Mage, but I think now that's been removed once again. On the other side, we're seeing Secret Mage being combined with Discover Mage. And we're seeing the Crystal Runner come into play.
And there's a Finance Portal and a Medivh.
Yeah. So this is the
This is the deck.
This is where we are with Mage. I think it was George C's Mage list he posted yesterday on social media, which he got Legend with, was Freeze Mage, but it had Medivh in, it had Pyroblast in, it didn't run any Mana Worms, but it just had those elements of a little bit of difference.
What you're trying to say is we've just run out of names for different Mage decks.
I mean, it was bad enough that we still didn't know whether to call it Burn Mage or Discover Mage.
Now it's Magey Mage, slightly Magey Mage, a bit less freezy, a bit more sort of chilly.
It's the same with it's the or Chile. It's the same with it's the same with Paladin, really, isn't it? Like we just.
Well, at least Paladin, you do it in terms of aggressiveness.
Yeah.
You just go, it's very aggressive or it's not, and then everyone knows what you mean. But with Mage, it's like warm, cold.
Mostly cold.
Well, I don't know if they burn you in the face.
True.
It's not that cold. It's like melt before it.
So Burgly Bully.
Oh, there's a game going on.
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
There is a
Hearthstone's
game
broken out in this channel.
And both Alexstrasza's being drawn. Of course, very important Alexstrasza in this matchup. Not only offensively, but sometimes defensively. It can be very handy.
Right. Just look at the secrets available to both sides, and they're kind of garbage, really. You don't really want to take time out to play counter. I guess you do if you're China because they've got the board, so protecting you with a counter spell is pretty good. Singapore, they kept that Acolyte of Pain. I don't like that as much now, the way this is turning out. They needed something down there, not these cards. They've got a load of cards. Well, what can they do with them?
Just give coins to your opponent. And that's what's happening at the moment. Doing what they can to try and regain this board as best as possible. But as you said, that counterspell might be handy. And there we go. Okay, so Kirin Tormage. This is...
Why not?
Yeah. So this is the secret hybrid that we've seen. It was in the HGT deck list that I was going through. We definitely was seeing this develop where people were putting Crystal Runners and Kirin Tormage in Discover Mage, essentially.
Right. And Crystal Runner is just such a ridiculous card. I mean, everybody plays Thing from Below, and it's basically the same card, give or take. It's just in a different class, which obviously makes a big difference to cards. But I think people have started to realise, hang on, a 5/5 for 4 is good enough. You don't need it to be 5/5 for 0. That's just a nice after bonus. And
I think it was Dog, actually, as in the dog from China, who's playing in HGT.
Dog.
Yeah, Dog. He publicised his list from HGT, of course, because they were all publicised, and it was pretty much like this. It had the secrets, had the Crystal Runners, had the Kirin Tor Mages, but it still had that same late game variant that we see in Discover Mage as well. So that makes sense that the China team is also playing it.
It really does. I noticed that a lot of the China decks did seem to be fairly similar. They had different lineups, but when they chose the same deck, they seemed to be the same build.
And all these coins now for China, and if there is an Antonidas in the deck, then they'll be very happy about that.
I think you do put Antonidas if you're going to play Burgly Bully. Not necessarily always. Yeah. You're going to use them all up, though, and just make more stuff happen. Alexstrasza on turn 6 just seems powerful.
Well, this is the thing. What response have we got now from Aaron?
Bottom right, buddy.
Yeah, he can Flame Strike, and then you're still taking 8 next turn from board. Not a very comfortable position to be in.
Off to the aquarium, I think, to be honest.
Maybe just to try and relax and calm down. This is a game that can sometimes be quite a grind, but this is going very quickly.
It is. It's just, I was expecting this to go some time when we saw it as Mage versus Mage, but actually, it's been pretty one-sided. Even this late game Mana Worm is going to be irritating for Singapore to deal with.
So I wonder if it was difficult for Singapore to mulligan in 4, if they were thinking it was a deck that was more late game orientated, perhaps, rather than the slightly aggressive build that we're seeing from Omega Zero. Yeah,
it's pretty hard to play the mirror blindfold at the moment because it's just like we've beaten to death, really. It's just very difficult to know exactly what's going on. You've got to play as if your opponent has 40 cards in their deck right now.
Which isn't fun. If an opponent could have 40 decks in there.
40 decks?
Oh my god!
Confirmed. We've cracked it.
Confirmed, it's not 18 anymore. We've got 40. Never have to delete a deck all year.
Well, you say that. Somebody would just be awkward and want 41.
So, Fireland's portal onto Alexstrasza can keep you alive from what you can see.
But do you want to stay alive in this position?
Yeah, well,
I guess
otherwise,
you do. You're in a big tournament.
Ice Block, Medivh's Valet, and Ping, probably the best option here. You definitely survive because of the Ice Block, and you can clear Alexstrasza at the same time. You then could potentially play a follow-up of an Alexstrasza defensively, put yourself up to 15.
Yeah, you've got to hope your opponent hasn't got the hand we can see, which is kill you. But yeah, in the real world, you've just got to try and survive. Of course, you have, because with all this value, if they can survive one or more two more turns, they'll be fine. And remember, the opening mulligan, they kept that Acolyte of Pain. That's where all this value came from, but it was very slow because of it. And they're getting out-tempoed in part because they decided to play a value game, which meant they guessed wrong, basically. They went into the wrong deck.
And I wonder how much these players would have studied the HCT decks and the meta in general, because giving all those coins away from Aaron, I think he would have been comfortable if this was Dog's deck from HCT. There is no Antonidas in it.
Right.
He'd been saying, all right, I'll give you the coins because it's not really going to make too much of a difference. Yeah, you can cast a few more spells, but I need to give you coins to just survive on board anyway. But I'd imagine that they will be very well practiced, or they would have researched into these
Singapore in particular. I mean, we say this about every team, but Singapore in particular, this is a big tournament for them. They're another the APAC side trying to show how good they are. A lot of us commentators know how good they are because we've seen them around various events, but yeah, they're still trying to prove it, and I think they're putting a lot of time into this particular event. Whereas some of the bigger teams, they don't need to do that prep because they just turn up and win because they are so good anyway.
Yeah. We've seen that from the likes of, like Netherlands, Ukraine, absolutely dominant sides. I mean, that's not to say they don't do prep.
And China, to some degree, we saw them turn up 1 or 2 weeks a little bit unprepared.
Oh, yeah.
And take a hit or two. And then they've turned up in future weeks and gone, it's just still good. So, I mean, you can stay alive on board.
Can stay alive on board.
So
I think you defensively Alexstrasza, I think that's your best option.
I'm not sure. Like, if you fireball Ping, you're dead to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But if nothing kills you, then next turn you defensively Alexstrasza, and actually you've got some stuff going on. Whereas if you do it now, you're getting hit instantly for 9. You're down to 6 before you start. So if they've got that stuff that takes 2 away.
So you think it's a better risk to take?
I feel that if you get away with it, which is very rare, then you can win the game this way. Whereas the other way, I think that you just take it straight in the face again the next turn anyway. I think this was the right way to do it. And I know full well that they're dead to any number of magey things here.
Yep, and Fireball will finish it off. China starting strong at the moment. They're 2-0 in the table with a 6-3 round difference. They'll take that up to 7-3 at the moment. If they do go 3-0, they're definitely through. But there
no! Well, if they beat everybody, they qualify for the top 16.
It's crazy, right?
Wow, those rules.
Absolutely crazy. The worrying thing, I'm trying to work out if there's a way that China actually falls short. I think if they were to lose 3-0 to Singapore, then
there would be a rematch because they won it up.
Well, this is, well, yeah, I know, but whatever. Let's have a look at the matchup and see what's going to be next. It's going to be Jason Joe versus Sequinox, and it's going to be Rogue versus the Priest.
Sequinox, his favourite place is Henderson Bridge. And he likes Henderson Bridge because it's a bit of a concrete jungle, as he words it, in Singapore, and it's one of the only places with a nice view.
Are there dreams made there?
That's over my head.
Yeah, it is. But
damn it.
I'm glad I was able to do it. Singapore, you know, I was talking about fines and how people are fined for stuff. You can also be fined for not flushing the toilet in Singapore.
After you throw your chewing gum down it to get away from the police.
Exactly.
It's like you just walk from one problem into another.
They actually have like a toilet force in Singapore to enforce these rules.
But they're like toilets come out and just like
so if you
flush at you
go
and
to
stuff.
Toilet 30 seconds later, you haven't flushed it, there might be someone barging your door down.
Yeah, okay, so how do they time this? At which point are you supposed to, like...
Neil, I don't know the logistics. I'm just a fact man, all right?
Like, do they have cameras?
I hope not. As you can see, the players there Jason Joe looking happy as always. He always looks very happy.
Yeah, that's because he
Jason
always
Joe,
wins.
he does always win.
I'm happy when I win, but that's why I'm always miserable.
Yeah, well, someday you'll be happy as well.
Obviously,
maybe
Jason
you can
Joe.
learn from the best.
I was going to say he's in China at the moment, but he kind of lives there, so he would be. But he's in China and also in China because he's there for HCT.
Did you know? In China, they have vending machines for live crabs. As in, like, beach crabs that you can buy and then cook. You get Glacka crawlers in there, hungry crabs maybe.
So you don't have those in the aquarium. It's like a contrast going on here. Okay.
So
I didn't know that, no.
Vending machines. I don't know how they get put in there, Neil. I don't know. I'm just a fact man.
The fact man who doesn't know logistics.
Okay, so next matchup
You need a logistics man alongside you.
is Rogue versus Priest then as we dive into that one. Quest Rogue, unsurprisingly, as I mentioned earlier, every Rogue that has been brought to HCT is a Quest Rogue.
Right, so in the HCT, Jason Joe is not playing, he is playing Boar, which is about 50% of the Quest Rogues. The big question is, do you play the Boar, have that extra one drop, that extra charge minion in your deck, or do you try and tech it out with a little bit like backstabs and swashbucklers and stuff? And he's one of the ones who's chosen in HCT to go with a Boar, I believe.
And it looks like we are going to be witnessing the Horror Priest as well. It's something that does very well against Shaman. We saw it last week being played, and it's something that Sequinox took to Legend, and other people have used his deck to get to Legend as well.
And you went back to the hotel and played it all night and got it to rank 15, I believe.
I did play it, yeah.
Starting at Legend.
Yeah, I don't quite have the skill set, apparently. But it is a fantastic deck. However, is it going to do well against Quest Rogue? My worry is no. Because Quest Rogue is going to have plenty of time to complete its quest.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and we know how bad it goes if the Quest Rogue does complete its quest. And also we've seen Quest Rogue, against the slower decks, doesn't really have to hurry. It can put 2 or 3 minions down there. It's got loads of value from Fireflies, from Igneous Elementals, from Biofins. It just draws more and more stuff, so you blow it all at once, and it just all comes back.
The saving grace for Sequinox is there are board clears. He's already got Pint-Sized Potion into Shadowword Horror. He's already got the Dragonfire Potion as well. I mean, this is 2 board clears straight out already. Of course, there are tools to find more board clears as well. There's potentially you could get 3 Dragonfire Potions if you would like.
The interesting thing here is Jason Joe may actually speed up, thinking that this is Silence Priest.
That's true.
Because he's seen the Acolyte Pain and he's put a bit of a wry smile on his face, thinking, well, I'm going to get hit with horrifically big things. But actually, in a minute, he's going to work out what it is, and then he's got Wisps, by the way.
He does have Wisps. Oh, yeah, I was just going to bring that up. I mean, that's going to be a very quick way to complete the quest. It was something that was kind of brought in for a little bit after Ungoro, and then it kind of faded back out.
Yeah, Dog's
right?
very original version, I think, had Wisps, where the idea was just to get stuff.
Is this American Dog?
Okay,
not
real
dog.
Dog. This guy's has got to prove that he's the real dog by winning this weekend,
okay.
Which you can catch live on this channel, by the way.
Yeah, you can. Live from Shanghai.
We'll see if we get a surprise victory over there, or whether it be one of the regular winners.
Stacked lineup, though. I know you mentioned that with Dan earlier. It's a lot of big names over there.
I hate it as a caster when you sit and go, hey, this thing that the same channel is showing next week's got a stacked lineup. But really, it just does.
Yeah, it definitely does. And now it looks like Jason Joe is going to start the bounce train by actually using Vanish with the prep. And now he can just complete the quest this turn. Well, next turn he can actually play the quest. So next turn means he can go Wisp into complete quest. That seems pretty good.
Good. It's like your own preparation in this form of 2 Wisps.
And the fact you're doing it with Wisps as well means that, yes, okay, Sequinox has those board clears, but how many times can he clear a board before he starts posing a threat of his own?
He needs to do it a lot of times,
exactly.
Right? And his deck is insanely slow with Medivh here, who isn't going to be guarding much at all because he's going to get punched in the face by Wisps.
Oh, he certainly is.
He should stick to holding parties.
Now, does Jason Joe coin out patches here? I don't think you need to. It depends how worried he is about Dragonfire Potion.
Yeah, I feel that you just keep putting 3 minions down at a time. And he hasn't got a huge amount of value in the cards that I was talking about earlier. like Igneous Elementals and such like at the moment. And I feel that he doesn't want to be too forward with his aggression here. It doesn't set up lethal. He may coin out the Glacial Shard, though, to stop any card draw. And that sets up lethal as well by putting 20 on the board and keeping the patches in hand. So that's the thing he can do. But again, he probably just doesn't want to put a 4th minion on the board. Yeah. Keeps it to 3. That's the most sensible thing, I feel. Right, Sequinox. Obviously, it can clear one board here. Is he going to go face? Why don't you draw a card if you're going to Dragonfire? It's the same thing, actually. Yeah, I'm just going crazy, but you draw the card first.
Card either way.
He couldn't think of any card in his whole deck that he'd rather play than Dragonfire, so...
So this deck does run 2 mind controls. That's how greedy it is. And unfortunately, that's not really going to work too well against a board that's constantly flooding 5/5s against you.
Yeah, Patches hasn't got a mind, so it's hard to control him, really. He just hits you in the face.
So there's another clear in the Pint-Sized Potion plus Shadow and Horror. Then there's also the Shadow Visions in deck that you could look for another Dragonfire Potion or another Pint-Sized Potion to get another clear. You've got Shadow of Death there as well.
Yeah, and in fairness, Jason hasn't drawn much of that sustain I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if they do draw the second clear, this might still get a bit interesting. Are you looking forward to this being nerfed, or you'd rather have people do this? Which version do you prefer?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it either being nerfed or not being nerfed,
right,
because I'm just a little bit worried about how it's going to upset the balance of the meta. At the moment, this is, in my opinion, one of the best metas we've had in Hearthstone.
I agree.
And by changing something so drastically, how is it that going to affect it? Of course, there is probably going to be an expansion near enough when that quest rogue is nerfed or afterwards. So it's going to be completely different anyway.
I think the exciting thing now is that they're willing to try.
Yeah,
I think we've been in metas before where it was like, oh, do we change it, do we not? Oh, what if it goes wrong? Now it's like, we think we should change it, we're going to. And I like the more committed attitude about all that.
Yeah, I like taking action. And there's a second Dragonfire Potion that actually Sequinox has picked up here. So he does have ball clear after ball clear after ball clear, and that's a preparation, which is a bit of a whiff. And that is going to allow Singapore here to start putting something on the board. Medivh goes on the board next turn.
Bit of a whiff. Did you bring your durian plant back with you?
Oh, that apparently does smell.
I thought that was your feet.
No. Although I am wearing slippers today.
Explains all of it.
I'm in charge now.
So you're going to have to Dragonfire Potion here. You won't be able to Medivh because of Jason Joe taking the initiative by just putting as much as he can on the board.
And Sequinox has one more turn. This Dragonfire, he'll face, hope they can't hit you, because he's expecting you just to go bounce minion, well, hit you with a charge, bounce, hit you, you die on 10. But actually, he's got a chance here. 10's the same as 8, by the way, because I'm good at maths. So he does have the option to try and play something onto the board. But, I mean, that backstab's been in hand a heck of a long time. What do they think it is?
Could be anything at this point, really. They probably think...
Well, there's a lot of things it's not.
They probably think it's a prep.
They probably think it's a prep. That's a good point.
I think one of these two you could
and then the right-hand card they've got no real clues about. Alright, so they're going to go with the Shadow of Death and this very aggressive-looking play. They get the Priest of the Feast, which means if they don't die next turn, they're going to be able to start, like, just getting on with it.
Yeah, just the charge effect needed for Jason Joe. Ah, there it is.
It's always there.
Just as soon as you thought that there was a chance for Sequinox here, Jason Joe finishes it off, and China are going to go 2-0 up.
It's just always there. And Sequinox made a brave play there.
He did make a brave play.
And was kind of punished for it, but I think he thinks that one of those cards in hand might be a bounce effect.
Yeah.
In which case, then he's dead to any charge anyway.
Well, if you'd used Dragonfire Potion,
he'll face you on 10.
You could have been up to 10, so maybe there's a way you could survive, but it was a very risky play, but I liked it.
Then they play any minion, and you can't kill it anyway, and then they hit you for the extra 5 anyway. So, yeah, Just,
you
it's just
do
a
still have
slower
Shadow
way
of
of
Death
dying.
then. If you
Yeah.
use the Dragonfire Potion first. As I said, it's about trying to get something on the board, and they were just unable to do so. So that's where Sequinox was trying to do something as we move on to Game 3, Nightwalk versus Crumpled. And, I mean, we looked at the league table earlier, and we were going through how China go through. Of course, 3-0 is fine for them. How Singapore go through. So basically, if Singapore win, they're just through.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they win 3-2, doesn't matter if they win 3-1.
Good job, really.
Good job, yeah, because they can only win 3-2 now. However, if China win, it actually means Malaysia go through, because Malaysia beat Singapore,
Right.
and their score difference will be the same regardless of what happens. Because if Singapore beat China 3-2, their score difference will still be the same.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll also be +1 as well, as Malaysia's.
Depending on, surely it'll only be +1 if it's whatever score. What are they at the moment?
If they,
Oh, if
all they can do is win 3-2 now, right?
I see.
Yeah.
But China can win by any score.
Yes.
I see.
China can still win 3-1 or 3-2, but we'll go into that when we see the league table later, and I can explain a little bit when we can see picture-in-picture, and Neil here won't get confused, bless him.
This is what happens when I let him be the maths guy and I try to be the facts guy. It just,
Yeah, it all just gets jumbled
just
up.
falls
We get
apart.
confused. We try to explain things we shouldn't, when really, I should be talking about that in Singapore, you're not allowed to use your neighbour's Wi-Fi. Also can get
I
fined.
thought that you were going to stop like a few letters short there and I was just getting all confused.
No, yeah, can't use your neighbour's Wi-Fi because you will also get fined.
Okay. So
Unless
there's lots of things you
your
get fined
neighbour
for.
gives the Wi-Fi to you and they give you the code. But if it's an open Wi-Fi, then you're not allowed to use it. Game 3 then, Nightwalk versus Singapore. And it's actually not Singapore. Nightwalk's not just playing the whole of it.
Nightwalk
Although
just-
he kind of is.
He's the Murloc killer from last week, remember?
is.
So now he's just upgraded from Murlocs and just taking a whole nation.
And so this looks like... So there was one priest deck that was brought to Shanghai. And that one priest deck was brought by X-Hope. It's a Lyra combo priest. It does run things like Binding Heal. So I think we might be looking at that here, Neil.
Yeah, seems pretty likely Binding Heal a fairly big giveaway. So how exactly does that pan out?
Okay, well that changes everything. I'm not sure that the chemist is actually in that list.
So you have to find out what that's there for now.
Although it might be. I mean, I can't remember every 30 card. I just looked at the significant cards, and I would have thought that that would have stood out for me when I was looking at the deck.
It's a pretty kooky card to
Yeah.
have in a deck,
It
so
is. Just
I don't think you'd have commissed it very much.
No, definitely would not have commissed it.
All right. Meanwhile, in fairness, combo-y priest decks are pretty good against Jade Druid. Because the Druid just can't deal with one gigantic minion.
Yep.
And actually, this board is pretty good against Jade Druid anyway. It's going to start getting the damage through. And Druid does not like chunky minions that heal themselves early in the game.
And of course, if this is X-Hope's combo priest, or at least close to it, you have that one Light Warden in there as well.
Right.
But for the oomph factor of getting it on board and then just having the heal, heal, heal into a massive old minion that is going to smash you down and win the game. And
I'm a massive old minion that's going to smash you down.
yeah. So if China were to win this 3-0, I mean, that would be absolutely phenomenal for them to...
Yeah, it's interesting. They had a lot on during the first phase where a lot of the events they were having in China domestically were clashing with Hearthstone Global Games. They seem to all be a bit tired at times. But since phase 2 started and they've had like a free run at it, they've just been destroying teams. And even the end of phase 1, they started coming to their own as well. When, like I say, a lot of their domestic stuff cleared up, which also had a lot on the line for them. So they were like doing double duty. It's no wonder they were a little bit tired at times.
Yeah, a lot of Hearthstone was there to be played, and sometimes it can just... Well, it can be a lot.
A lot of Hearthstone could be a lot of Hearthstone. It really can.
We've seen players kind of blow out a little bit when they have got multiple tournaments, and
Yeah.
they're trying to keep a streaming schedule as well.
Yeah.
And you can see the results because of that, to be honest.
Yeah, agree entirely with that. And Nightwalk is one of those popular guys.
Nightwalk, the Murloc killer.
The sequel. As long as he doesn't go to the aquarium, he'll be fine.
Return of the Dark Reaper.
As long as he doesn't go near those vending machines.
Yeah. Well, the crabs aren't going to be useful in this matchup. I don't know if you heard it. Like, earlier I was saying that there are 11 crabs in the 64 decks at HCT.
11 crabs.
hungry crabs, sorry.
11 hungry crabs.
So that's kind of...
And how many paladin decks? Like 10, isn't there? There's 10 paladin decks.
Yep. And there's only 6 token druids as well, so that means there's more Hungry
It's
Crabs.
a couple of token druid decks thrown in there.
Yeah, than just token druids. Now,
That's interesting.
Singapore are doing what they can to try and clear this really annoying Tar Creeper, as you said earlier. Big minions, not really what Druid can deal with.
They're not, and the other problem you have with this deck is not just the big minions that you can see, you've got to stop them from becoming big. So injuring things that you can't kill is also important, so that you can just stop the servant from Kalimos from arriving and doing whatever that does in this deck.
Yep, so that's slightly different, but makes sense. You were able to get the Radiant Elemental down last turn. It's very fortunate to get that off the top. And well, I mean, the interesting thing now for China is they've got Binding Heal to heal up that Radiant Elemental. Which
The interesting thing is they just played a servant of Kalimos.
But next turn they've got a Kooky Chemist, which can flip the 2/5 into a 5/2.
Sure.
But yeah, Servant
enjoying
Kalimos is pretty different. I mean, we've noticed throughout the history of Hearthstone, certainly region-specific metas have been very apparent.
Yeah.
We've noticed different things appear in ladder.
China in particular are sort of the founders of the tempo mage of last season, the one that just won with Yogg, the old school Yogg before the nerf. And China just kept saying this is good, and everyone kept saying, China! And then everybody went, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We should be playing this deck, it's really good. Which led to the card being nerfed. That's how good that deck was. And it was all China, because everybody just laughed at it for a long time with Cabalist Tomes and stuff.
And so you notice now for Singapore, Neil, if they don't try and deal with some of this board, they're just dead.
Yeah, they're going to be a Singapore position if they don't carry on with this.
Absolutely. And that's just the Jade Spirit, so that is going to be enough. They think they're okay, but actually the Kooky Chemist, of all things, to finish it off, is going to be pushing China towards the last 16, but also pushing Malaysia towards the last 16. Singapore will fall to 3rd place in their group, and they are just going to have to hope that they are one of the 3rd place finishers.
Yeah, and the 3-0 is really irrelevant. Again, going back to, I'm just going to keep calling Relox out because he did all this work on the groups. His simulations say that 1 and 2 record, which they're on, and -3 game difference is the absolute, not the absolute cut, but as close to the absolute cut as simulation can do. And these are going to be -2 now?
-2, I believe.
So
yeah,
they're just above absolute disaster level, but you don't really want to be in a position where you're just above absolute disaster.
Well, let's see what... look at all of the classes and see how that game was won. A very quick one in the end for China. They'll be more than happy, topping their group with 3-0 and also a 9-3 difference as well, Neil.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Just crushed this group, and they're looking fantastic for that top 16 now, which starts next week.
Yeah, and Malaysia will also be over the moon. They would have been sat there waiting after their victory over Norway. They're through, but let's have a chat to the guys from China. It might just be Jason Joe. It is Jason Joe. Are you actually in China at the moment? Are you over in Shanghai currently?
Yeah, I'm in Shanghai now. Was preparing for the World Championship.
So a nice quick 3-0. So now you can just go off and prepare some more. You must be happy about that.
Yeah, we are really happy about that.
Obviously, this is a team event, and obviously you've all pulled together for this. Are they helping you as well for the main event at the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
So are these guys helping you?
A lot. Hello?
Yep. Yep.
Carry on, you go. Whatever you were going to say.
Okay.
That's fine, we'll move on. Anyway, do you think that moving on to the last 16, like how are you going to prepare with your team? Is that going to be a massive focus for China? Do you really want to reach the finals of the global games?
Yeah, we are absolutely want to go to the final, top 4, and because in the group stage we have a very hard time in the group stage, and now in the stage 2, I feel like we are like more we are more know this kind of strategies, is this kind of tournament. So as long as we cooperate each other together, I feel like our team is stronger than in the beginning. So I think we will do some preparation in the 16. in the top 16 and to watch some videos and maybe analysis and try to get the final top 4.
Yeah, it certainly seems like you guys are quite well rehearsed now. You can clearly see that in your gameplay. Best of luck in the last 16, but of course, best of luck at the Spring Championships this weekend as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. And he's completely right. I mean, China have gone from being quite busy with their gameplay to turning up a little bit unprepared, scraping their way through. Now they look like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think I'd be scared if I was the team playing China in that top 16. I do not want to run into them. They are looking hot. Not Chile.
No.
Beat you to it.
Yeah, no, not Chile. As we look back at some of the highlights of the series, it was a quick one. When we looked at the potential matchups, we were thinking this could be quite a long series, but instead, China absolutely blasting through.
Yeah, that mulligan decision still from Singapore looking a little bit dodgy in hindsight, but again, they thought they were going for a value grind. We thought they were, and actually they just got blown out of the game. And
Sequinox's Horror Priest almost was able to stabilize. It had plenty of removal.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way of removing a board, but again, Quest Rogue was not a good matchup for the Horror Priest.
No, and the Quest Rogue didn't even have particularly good draws and still managed to just scrape to the victory there. Did need that pickup or it would have stabilized, but sure.
Yeah, unfortunately couldn't stabilize, and Jason Joe was able to provide the victory that his team needed. And then this was an interesting way to finish the game. The kooky chemist of all ways to finish off the series in style. I mean, I think everyone's going to go home and maybe try that deck. Or you probably are already home, so you can try that right this instant if you have been watching. Let's have a look at Group A and see how the standings do pan out then. It's China at 3-0, Malaysia 2-1, Singapore 1-2, and Norway 0-3.
Just a reminder that third place, 4 of the third place finishes out of 6 will go through. Singapore on pretty much the projected cutoff.
Yeah, projected cutoff, but that's our first group finished. Now we move from Group A to Group D. We're going to have a quick break. We'll see you then.